Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Well, baby, if your name is Sean Diddy Combs, oh, it looks like you in a rock and a hard place, and baby, we love to see it. If you guys don't know, yesterday, the Judge Aaron in the probation department, they had me dying. They dropped Diddy's probation guidelines. Baby, let me just say this. I hope to God he rehab, because if not, they gonna get you. You're gonna be released on the 5th. They gonna lock you back up again, probably on the 15th. As soon as some of your visually challenged escorts are available. Okay, well, get this. Now that the probation guidelines are come out, sources are saying Diddy is like, yo, I can't do this. See, one of the reasons why Diddy got so far is because, yeah, he thinks he's a god among men. Yeah, he thinks he can get away with everything. But one of the reasons they're saying, that Diddy is so upset is because he knows his limitations. He knows his limitations. He knows what he's up to. This fool was under federal investigation. And literally, there was a girl, I believe, in his hotel room with the freak off gear. Anytime you see trashy lingerie and stripper heels and an arguably attractive escort, you know Diddy's in the building. Well, guess what? They are saying that right now Diddy is freaking out because remember when I told you yesterday that sources are saying that the money's drying up? Yeah, I got a little bit more tea. Let me know what you think. Let's get into this. All right, now listen, this is what the streets are saying. The Diddy streets, I tend to think that it might be true. Okay, I know what you're, Tisa, get to the point. Okay, here I go. All right, so appeals are very, very expensive, okay? Now, all right, I know what you're saying. Tisa, you still ain't to the point. Okay, Diddy is begging Trump for a pardon once again, but this time it's for financial reasons because he doesn't know if he can hold out mentally or in his pockets for an appeal. Okay, now, y'all got the big picture? Now let's slow it down and actually talk about what this is, all right? First of all, Diddy got the dream team of lawyers. I believe in the appeal, there's going to be about 3 lawyers working on there. There's going to be Shapiro, Driscoll, and a few other people. Why is that important? Because the appeal cost for a federal criminal case in the Southern District of New York, right? Typically, one attorney can be somewhere between $300,000 to $1.5 million. However, big law or elite boutique appellate specialists like Mark Agnifilio's level, right? Driscoll's level, Shapiro's level, right? They usually charge about $2,000 an hour. And large cases such as Diddy easily exceed 1,000 hours of work. Let's not forget that Diddy is grasping at straws. Then there's record preparation, transcript costs about $100K, filing costs $505, expert consultations, research assistance, that's like $250,000. So a realistic price range would be $2 million, okay? Now here's the thing. They said high-profile defendants routinely spend 7 figures on appeal. For instance, Harvey Weinstein's New York appeal reportedly cost $1 million in legal fees. Jusain's $2 million. Now, here's the part that Diddy is like, yo, because at the end of the day, like I said, Diddy has a cash flow problem. He never admitted, but he said in court, who else is making money? He said he need to be out on the street for his kids. Who else is making money in that house? Get this, the total time from notice that they're going to appeal is somewhere between 12 and 24 months in the Second Circuit. However, high profile or complex cases, right, such as Diddy's, can take up to 3 years before a final appellate ruling, okay? So what's the bottom line? Diddy's looking about $2 million minimum in appeal costs per lawyer. He has 3 lawyers. That's $6 million. The Second Circuit is most likely going to hear that argument somewhere around 1.5 to 2.5 years. And get this, the final decision could arrive 2 to 3 years after conviction, depending on briefing extensions and docket congestion. What does that mean? Diddy is about to make the gamble of his life, and his pockets are running low, and he doesn't know which one is easier. Should he file for an appeal because he is a stubborn old devil, or should he keep the pressure on Trump? See, here's the thing. Remember how Trump said, yeah, I heard Diddy wanted a pill. Now, he didn't say whether or not he was going to give Diddy a pill. I understand that. But the devil's in the details. Remember how Nicole Westmoreland admitted they were trying to get an appeal from President Trump? All right. Remember how the Rolling Stone article, just to take you back, children, remember how the Rolling Stone article said that Diddy had approached a lot of people? He was paying people to get his lawyers an audience with Trump, to get people that deals with Trump's appeal thing. He was paying for the audience. And remember how they said that Diddy said that he would pay for introductions and the rest of the people he would pay if the appeal was successful. Now, when he tried that mess, the people that were in charge of the appeals were like, and getting access to get in front of the president for the appeal. They were like, motherfucker, you must be out your mind. You really think you going to sit here and act like our name is Gina Hun? Act like our name is Young Miami? Ninja, you think you going to run us? Have us making introductions, jumping through hoops, doing all this stuff, and you telling us you only gonna pay us if it's successful? Man, get out of here. We got 1 million more people that got the money, the funds, and they're gonna pay whether or not it's successful, because you're not paying for an outcome. You're paying to get even on the president's radar, all right? The streets are saying they literally laughed Diddy out there, because they literally were trying. Remember when Diddy tried to shortchange that escort? Remember when they're like, oh, he couldn't even finish. Why I gotta pay him money? And he gave him $500 or $600 and told him to go kick rocks. Remember that? Well, he tried to do the same thing to these power brokers, to these legal eagles, to these people that make their living from brokering, getting audiences for an appeal. So Diddy's been humbled because he thought he was in the position, because his lawyers, don't forget, according to all sources, we're saying, yo, you got this. You ain't going to serve time. Again, children, can I take you back to the beginning of the story where Sean Diddy Combs didn't just have one speaking engagement? According to the court transcripts, he had planned to go on a nationwide tour. I guess he wanted to get his money back. Anyway, right? Back then, Diddy was like, well, if you can't guarantee me nothing, never mind. I ain't spending all that money for an appeal. Again, you guys, appeals cost money. Not saying the president takes money for appeals. I mean, he might. I don't know. Is that illegal? Doesn't matter anymore. But the people that put you in front of the people to even get you on the appeals list, they want to be paid. So let's go back. You're looking at about $6 million for your appeal costs. Even if you pay that, you might not get a decision for 2 to 3 years. Diddy is expected to serve no more than 3 years, because he has 40 months. He's already served like 13 months. He is expecting to do no more than 2.5, 3 years. So basically, if he pays these appeal people all this money, it would only be a good investment if he was doing 10 or 20 years, because then that gamble with his diminishing funds, because he doesn't have any cash flow, would actually be worth it. At least Diddy would think it's worth it, because he always thinks he's right. Seems like it. He ain't wanna take an answer, right? But if you're paying in your dwindling frozen fortune, if you're paying that much money for an appeal, and you can't guarantee what the outcome is, and your lawyers are saying, oh, no, don't worry, you got this. I think they saving Diddy's, I think Diddy's name is saved in the lawyer's phone as Food Ninja. They eating off of him. Oh, who's that? This is Food Ninja we eating off of, right? So, even though his lawyers were telling him in the criminal trial, don't worry, you got this. And his ass is still sitting at the MDC, probably harassing all the rats and roaches while he teaching free game with Diddy. I know everybody in there is just like, what's the game? How to stay in jail? Okay, let me be serious, right? So anyway, right? So think about it. Before, what he thought was a short shot, now he's looking at his lawyers like, well, hold up. You told me A was a short shot, and now you want me to probably invest close to $6 million minimum, well, according to what the sources are saying, into an appeal campaign, but you can't even guarantee me, because nobody can guarantee an appellate. And Diddy got Google, just like everybody else, and I'm sure they're like, yo, only 10% of appeals are ever granted. And yeah, Diddy beat the system once, but see, appeals are not about if you're innocent. Appeals are not about, appeals are about, did the judge follow proper procedure? Did the judge follow proper procedure in the application of law? And he can say what he wants about Judge Aaron. One thing that we do, Arun, one thing that we do know, oh baby, he followed procedure to a T. So the odds of the appeal are very, very low. Now Diddy is looking back to the deal about the pardon. See, here's the thing. Let me loop this all together. Remember how I said it wasn't just a jail term, because Diddy was like, maybe I can do that. Remember when I said that the one thing that was actually bothering Diddy is the terms of probation and the fact that he doesn't think that he can last 5 years without reverting to his old ways. And that's even if he stopped his own ways, because God knows what's happening in prison. Honestly, you think Diddy's making like his cellmates wear a mop on their head? Okay, you're the girl. We'll call you Pippi Longstocking. And you are now the big guy that comes swinging in. That's what his free game is. He teaching them how to construct freak-offs. And he making one of the inmates dress up as a girl, right? No. We're not gonna call you Young Miami. We're gonna call you Old Atlanta. Come here, Old Atlanta. And he's sitting in the corner, hiding behind like packs of oodles and noodles, just watching diddling with himself. I'm just saying that Diddler probably did it. All right, so if you look at that, right? And you look at the fact that like now he doesn't know that if he gets out, he realizes after reading those terms of probation that his life is going to be hell. Hell, I tell you. So now let's go back to that pardon. Trump never said no, but everybody he needs to literally make a serious play has their hand out. It's going to cost you, because this is what we do for a living. And baby, we ain't doing charity cases. And if we did, you would not be on the list. So now Diddy, it seems like he has a decision to make. But people are saying that he is panicking and he is now mobilizing any of the assets he has. And what's more, he's mobilizing any of the influence that he might have in the next election to deliver certain demographics to the president. What demographics he going to deliver? Bum-ass ninjas? Huh? Retired dusty pick-me's that need clarifying shampoo. Listen, what is, but I digress. Let's get back on point. So we have a gamble. This seemed like too big a gamble prior to when he thought he was only going to get time served. And now that he knows it, baby, he's in there. And there's no guarantee he's going to have an appeal. People are saying that Diddy is pulling in all the resources and all the favors he can because he plans to make a big, big play for presidential pardon. Now, that said, will Trump pardon him? I doubt it. But that said, Trump does what he wants to do. However, can he? We already have the Jizzy Maxwell. He's looking seriously at that, and he's spoken on that. But Diddy says maybe he's going to play the long game. Maybe he'll sit there for a year, get all his money up, pull together the last 6, 10, maybe 15 million he has, and literally try to buy his way out of prison because he feels like if he is pardoned, he can make it all back on the inspirational, on the book tour. We know it ain't music because he wasn't making money in music anyway, right? Anyway, y'all, that is the tea. Diddy has doubled down and he is now in a crossroads. Should he continue with this appeal? I think not, because I think it's going to be rejected. Or should he gather up all his pennies and actually pay the power brokers to get him in front of Trump and then maybe pay a little bit more and here's what I think. Trump right now, his whole family is rolling with money. I don't think Diddy has enough money to sway Trump to take all the heat from social media for pardoning him. I really don't. However, I do think that Diddy with the new administration could leverage the influence that if he can convince them that he has influence over a certain demographic, they might actually use him as a tool in the next election. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. What do y'all think about it? I actually think there is something to this. In any case, I'm going to stay on this case. Mark my words, Diddy has not given up his pardon thing. The only thing is he stopped being cheap, and he now knows that he can't be like, yo, I'll do it if you guarantee me, because nothing in this life is guaranteed except the fact that he is rolling over right now looking at rats and roaches, just angry and mad. And baby, we love to see it. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think about this. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.